Hi guys, it's Thankful Thursdays, and it's me, Rachel, and I'm here with Kel as always. I'm kind of really maxed out at the moment. I'm studying, getting assignments done and revision for exam in June and stuff, so I'm quite busy. I know everyone is at the moment kind of pretty wrapped up with school, I guess I should call it, university or whatever. So yeah, I'm kind of like really tired and not the most articulate today, but I'm going to do my best. Look what I discovered in this drop. Some of you might not even know what this is, but hello wham bars. People who like are from the UK, I used to get these when I was like 12 when I was in school from like the tuck shop. So I've discovered them, and even better, they're suitable for vegetarians. So my local co-op has them, which is like really amazing. And unfortunately, that has been the highlight of my day because all I've been doing today is studying. I slept till like 1. But anyway, this is about me, and I'm supposed to be answering a question. This week, Kel and I received a question, which was just really sort of following us talking about therapy last week. And she just asked if the girl said, I totally agree with the fact that therapy often deals with the here and now, and what she was wondering is if we could possibly explain the differences between the different types of therapists, be it a psychiatrist, psychologist, etc. I guess I take quite a lot of this for granted. I kind of just assume that people understand the differences between these things because I've kind of been in the system, as it were, for so many years now, and I'm sure that when I first started out in therapy and all the rest of it, I didn't have a clue what the different types of therapies are. And those of you out there who do understand the sort of differences are probably really well read and really well versed on it, kind of like I am. I did a lot of reading. And that's going to be my first recommendation. I'd recommend that you try and educate yourself as much as possible around different therapies, not to the point of obsession, but just kind of get a general understanding of what's out there and the different types of treatment that are available for you and the different types of people you think that would maybe help you. I think that through reading you can really educate yourself on what maybe best suits you, and maybe not to the point that I did. I mean, I've been under treatment before and been reading about different therapies because I didn't like the therapy I was in, and sort of self-taught myself. And you know, as much as that can kind of help me understand myself, if I've got nobody to bounce that off, it becomes quite difficult. I myself am training to be a clinical psychologist. Clinical psychologists tend to work within quite not strict boundaries, but there isn't a huge amount of flexibility in the work that they do because it tends to follow, it's quite a uniformed way of receiving therapy really, and of practicing therapy. I'm sort of giving my own point of view here. I mean, there's people out there who might be clinical psychologists who tend to disagree with that, but that's certainly been my experience, and is certainly my experience as training to be one. A lot of clinical psychologists tend to practice things like cognitive behavioural therapy. So what I'm going to do is, before I kind of go into that really, I'll try and sort of highlight the sort of differences of therapies and therapists that are available to you. To begin with, and who tends to be at the top of the chain of command, are psychiatrists. Psychiatrists have the most power. They train as medical doctors, so in the same way that one would train to be a paediatrician or what have you, or a neurosurgeon or whatever, they train as a medical doctor, and along the way of their training they then can select a specialist area. Psychiatrists' specialist area becomes mental health. They are educated and are a bit able to supply medication. They tend to be very well read on various medications, and are able to understand the sort of brain pathways and a very kind of understand a very biological and chemical level with regards to the brain, and medications that can help with helping the neurotransmitters in the brain. They also have the power to section or commit people if they feel that a person's mental health and overall well-being is destructive enough and damaging enough to need sectioning. normally people are sectioned because they represent a danger to themselves or to other people. That doesn't mean that psychiatrists have to be really scary people who take all the control off you. I think that's quite a big misconception, because there are some excellent psychiatrists out there who practice in a way whereby it is only as a last resort they would section a person. Within eating disorders, most people are sectioned because of their weight. That tends to be the overall kind of rule, and I would say people are sectioned at various weights. The majority is sectioned under a BMI of 13. That tends to be at a point when somebody needs medical supervision to actually stay alive. I do know people who've been sectioned at much higher BMIs, and that tends to then depend on their risk of self-harm or their risk of suicide or any other kind of mental health issues which come into that. But a lot of psychiatrists do tend to practice in a different way. That's been my experience of a number of the psychiatrists I've worked with. They haven't wanted to just section me or force treatment on me. It's very much been a discussion, and it's very much involved my parents at various points. Even though I am a lot older, it has still involved my parents in my treatment. Now, if you're under the age of 18, your parents can have a choice in whether you are put in hospital or not. So there are some differences, and this video would go on forever if I tried to kind of really go into that, but there is certainly ways that you can research that on the internet or by asking other people to explain some of these rules and regulations to you. So a psychiatrist is the person who is overall in control of your care and who will then recommend therapies to you or different approaches to treatment. The different treatments that are kind of offered to you are, you know, therapies range massively. As I mentioned before, a clinical psychologist is trained and has a doctorate. It doesn't mean they're a doctor, but they become a doctor, if that makes sense. So I will be Dr. Rachel Gregory, but that does not mean that I have a medical degree. It means that if I have trained postgraduate and have achieved a PhD doctorate, which then allows me to practice in a clinical field. I cannot prescribe medication. I can make suggestions for hospitalisation, but I do probably work under, in many ways, what the psychiatrist is recommending. A clinical psychologist is trained in a variety of ways and can practice a number of different therapies. This can be DBT, CBT. CBT is cognitive behavioural therapy. Cognitive behavioural therapy, actually, do you know what I'm going to do? This video is running, so I'm going to split this in two, and I'm going to stop this now and I'm going to continue in the second bit, so bear with me.